All righty. So today we have Kevin on, and he is one of the newest members of the AJC family. So, Kevin, would you mind just introducing yourself, your name, where you're from, and your occupation?
Kevin Alexander. I live in a little old bitty town called Chico, Texas. About 800 people in the whole town, and I do life insurance, strictly life insurance.
Awesome,
I'm a
awesome,
VP with FFL.
awesome, awesome. And so, how long have you been in the business, Kevin?
Let's see. I started back up Arturo in November of 2019, but 10 years prior to that, I had quite a bit of success in the business also.
Okay. And what were you doing before you got into life insurance business?
Life insurance. I'm also a pastor. So when I had a insurance business before, and for about 6 or 7 years straight, I had the largest agency in the nation with the company that I was with. We built it and turned it into the number one agency in the nation. After that, make a long story short, I went into the mission field and I just really had it on my heart. Traveled to India, Africa, Haiti, all over the world, prisons, all over the U.S., just ministering the gospel. And so the money I made in that 6 or 7 years, Arturo, is what funded the next 10 years for me to travel around the world and do that.
Got it. Yeah, it's interesting because we have at least four or five pastors I know that
Yeah.
are in this program. I'm sure you probably caught a couple of those, but that just goes that you're called to serve, right? Like you're really in the big of serving for others, and so I can understand. But so, what made you get into the life insurance business specifically?
Basically just being I remember when I was a kid, which is it's part of my story and you've probably seen it, but when I was a kid I had a brother that got killed in a trucking accident, and we live here in Texas. He got killed in Arkansas. My dad seen it happen, and I can remember when I was a kid, my parents not having any life insurance, him not having any life insurance, and the bind that left the family in, trying to get him back from Arkansas back to here. It was just a mess. And then also being a pastor and serving for as long as I have in the pastoral role, it happens on such a regular basis to where I've seen so many family members pass away, and not just in our church, people that are not involved with our church, but people lose loved ones and they have absolutely nothing in place to take care of that. So many times where they end up reaching out is to the local church, and the local church to help them out, and because they have absolutely nothing in place. And so that was why, one of the main reasons I got in, because I have seen this happen. I've seen it happen time after time, because being a pastor and doing life insurance, being the pastor, helping people deal with death, I see the behind the scenes stuff, Arturo. Because I'm dealing with the families, I see the families, I see the stress that it adds. I see how it causes arguments to rise up, over certain things. I see all the behind the scenes stuff that nobody else sees at the funeral, and the stress of not having money, not having things in place, who's going to pay the most, putting barbecue sales together in order to, sell barbecues and raise money, going and knocking on the door of the church that they hadn't been to in 10 years, asking them for money. So, and then the family arguing, I spent more time with you than you did, so you should pay more. So it just turns into a mess behind the scenes. So I really enjoy helping eliminate that process.
Mm. Yeah, and so that's interesting because you call to serve and you're in service, and then on one end you see what happens when people don't have a plan in place, right? But also
Yes,
you've
sir.
experienced the tragedy on your own, so that automatically gets you out of bed because you don't want other folks to experience what you've been through. And then you see what happens, and I can only imagine that you think a little bit even in this time. It's like, man, if they just talked to somebody, if I could have got to talk to them, just about putting a little bit, whatever it is for a cup of coffee a day aside, that would have alleviated some of this, not only just to grieve, but to now have to battle against your family and stress of coming up with these things at a time where you don't really have resources. Again, some of this stuff could have been avoided, huh?
Yeah, oh, it is. The first thing that hits somebody when you lose a loved one is, the first thing is the emotional pain that you go through of losing that loved one. But the very second thing that hits their mind, Arturo, is how are we going to pay for this? So a
Mm,
lot of people never even get to grieve and get a full healing from the loss of a loved one because they're so stressed out about how they're going to pay for it. And then they're having to go into debt. The family's having to go into debt. And the funeral home is always going to charge you more per month to pay a funeral off than what a life insurance policy is going to cost while they're still alive. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
No, no, I've
Yeah.
seen it happen. No. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a tremendous motivator for me, and I enjoy serving. I enjoy helping people, and I enjoy seeing people have a peace of mind.
Gotcha. Yeah. And so, Kevin, even before we connected, you had a lot of success really quickly early on. To most people probably watching this wouldn't even know, Hall of Fame producer. How were you able to do that so quickly?
Man, I believe in two things: buy leads and work hard. That is the deal today. I'm not afraid to spend money on leads. I'm not afraid to invest into my business, invest into myself. Not afraid to do that at all. That's how I come across you. So the number one thing that I did is when I started back up in this business, Arturo, which was November of 19. I had $1,000 laying in my checking account.
Mm.
With that $1,000, I bought $1,000. No, I took that $1,000. I apologize. And I bought $500 worth of leads, and on a Monday, and then bought $500 more worth of leads on a Thursday. And that first $1,000 turned it into $6,000. And the way I look at it, I've not paid for a lead since then.
Mm. And so, can you kind of go expound to that? What do you mean by you hadn't paid for a lead since then?
Because that $1,000 that I spent, that first $1,000, I made 6,000 on it. So my business pays for my leads. It's no more money out of my pocket. The business pays for it.
Mm. Yeah,
That makes sense.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And I think a lot of people don't look at it that way. They keep looking at it as their expense, and it's like, no, this is a business expense that
Yeah.
you invest into your business so that you can have growth.
Yes, it is.
Got
If you're not willing to invest, you're not going to grow. You got to put a seed in the ground in order to get it to grow. And the way that I look at it, the money that I make, that's my seed. So everything that comes into my business, Arturo, I've got it set up on a pretty tight. Every penny that comes into my business is dedicated to do something. So if I make $10,000 in a week, about 25 to 30% of that goes to me and my wife. 20% of everything that comes in goes to leads. 20% of everything that comes in goes to building my business. So you got 30, you got 50, you got 70. Then I've got a percentage that goes into savings, and I got a percentage that goes into taxes. So every dime that comes in is broken down and set aside for something, so I know exactly what the cost is. So I pay myself a percentage every week. No, I don't care if I get a deposit, Arturo, for $100 one day. 20% of that's $20 is coming out of that and going back toward leads. I
Mm-hmm.
don't care if I. So every penny that I've got coming in is dedicated towards something in order to build my business to get this agency to $1 million a month agency.
Yeah, and thanks for sharing that, because that's you can see here really quickly that you understand what's going on here. Is that you need to get in front of people, and as many people as you can get in front of, you need that to never stop. And so you want
Yeah.
to make sure that you build some momentum. But let's take a step back. Let's talk about some of the sacrifices, because everybody's like Hall of Fame and they see all of these things over here. What did you have to sacrifice? What did you have to give up through this journey to be able to hit that so quickly?
Time, my time. I had to be willing to sacrifices that I made was be willing to work, 12, 15 hours a day or more. Be willing to travel, be willing to get outside of my comfort zone of only wanting to work within an hour of my area. Be willing to load my vehicle up and go to where the leads were, not to where I was comfortable, but to where the leads were. So if I had leads in Louisiana, I'd jump my truck, I'd pack my clothes, I'd head to Louisiana and work about 4 days in Louisiana. And then I'd head back. If I had to go to Oklahoma, I'd jump in my truck, head to Oklahoma, stay up there 3 or 4 days, and head back. So the price to pay, you got to be willing to sacrifice that. You got to be willing to do that. You can't just be willing. A lot of people say, "Well, I don't really want to drive 2 hours." Well, if you're not willing to drive 2 hours and an opportunity to make 15 or 20 grand in 4 or 5 days, then this business may not be for you, because I've been doing this business a long time, and I don't have very many people come to my office knocking on my door wanting to buy life insurance. I've got to to where they are. Matter of fact, in the years that I've been doing this, I can maybe think of one or two policies where I've ever sold where somebody showed up at my office wanting coverage. So it does. It takes time away from your family. It takes time away from being at home, but that's a sacrifice I'm willing to pay right now in order to get to where I want to get in the future, so that in the future I can have more time with my family and more time with my grandkids and be home more.
Gotcha. Yeah. And I think that that's a goal because a lot of people miss that. It's like it
Mm.
is expectations mixed with hard work, right? Because the
Yep.
opportunity is endless in this business. And like I tell all new agents whenever I'm talking to them, this is a persistency and consistency business.
Mm.
And those people who are persistent and consistent always come out on the other end. And you can think it's
Yeah.
this or that, but the people who are working hard, they get the reward.
That's it. Activity. If you're willing to put in activity, and I always tell people, don't worry so much, because a lot of people in this business get paralysis by analysis. They analyze everything so much that they never do nothing. And when you don't do nothing, nothing happens. And when nothing happens, you go broke. So in this business, what's got to happen is, you got to be willing. You got to be willing to jump out there. You got to be willing to invest. And you got to be willing to. You can't be afraid. You can't be afraid to go out there and invest. You can't be afraid, because this business right here, it takes money to make money. All right. And so I'm always trying something else. I'm always readjusting my leads. So now what I'm doing pretty much now is I'm not traveling as much as I was, but I've invested a lot of money in order to get these systems to where they are, and finding people to work with, and finding people that can put the systems together that I'm looking for, in order so that I can now be home a little bit more, but still my hours of work time have not reduced, Arturo. I still work 10 or 12 hours a day. I may do it from my desk now, making phone calls and setting appointments, but I still put in at 10 or 12 hours a day.
Gotcha. And so that's one of the things that you're now not a victim of your success. You're the same old Texas boy still putting in the work since day one, right?
Still putting it in. I'm
Awesome.
still putting it in.
Awesome.
My goal is to get to $1 million a month agency. That's where
Mm,
I want to be, and I want to have the systems in place to where, as I'm bringing new agents in, I've got a proven system that I can offer them and show them and get them set up as I bring agents in, and saying, look, this is why I'm writing 60, 70 grand a month. This is what I'm doing. And if you are willing to do this, you're going to be a success.
awesome. Awesome. Well, yes, that's great. And so I guess we can kind of transition into how we connected. So my first question is you having success already where you were kind of at a point where most people just want to get to by themselves, right? So what were some symptoms or some things that were becoming a challenge, just kind of what you were doing where you started like, okay, I need to, maybe check out a couple other things, not to replace what you're doing, but to layer on top to give you some time back.
I started seeing the change. I'm 50 years old, I'm kind of a dinosaur. Yeah, because I'm 50, and the way I did business before was we just went around and we knocked on doors, and we beat the paint off the door. We had a lead in there. We go out working. You go camp out in a town, and you'd stay there and you'd work every lead. We'd set appointments and do all that. But I've seen, as I got back into this business, I did the same thing. I approached with that same type of attitude, and that was how I was a Hall of Fame producer last year in the Hall of Fame. Not one of those sales were over the phone. Not one of those sales was done by any type of program like what I'm working here now. But I did see that it's changing. Everything's changing, and started seeing that, hey, I can work a little smarter and not harder. Still put in the time, but not as far as driving all the miles and doing all of that. So that's when I
Gotcha.
really really started looking into this, looking into these programs, and started and I fought against it, Arthur. I'll tell you, I fought against it with everything I had. My agents and everything I was bringing in, I was like, no, you got to get out there and you got to look them people in the eye. You got to beat the paint off the door. You got to drive. You got to do that. That's what I did. But I'm seeing now that times are changing, and it's very, very important for me to adjust with those times, and be able to implement some strategies that are going to help us actually write even more business, I believe,
Gotcha.
because our
Yeah.
time is so much better used by doing it this way.
Yeah, you make your time more valuable. But Kevin,
Yeah.
because you have the foresight, and so you kind of see this, and you've done it the old way, which works, which got you to where you were last year, and then kind of transition. What are these things of the future that you're seeing, right? Because you're starting, it's kind of changing. What are some things that you're kind of seeing that's kind of
Well,
changing? Well, you notice the market's changing and kind of where it's going.
Well, everybody, we got this age of people that are coming up, and many people are, they're just used to doing everything online. Yeah, I mean, people are ordering their groceries online. Amazon, you can order your groceries online at Walmart, go pick them up, just pull up and they pick them up. We've had this coronavirus that's kind of freaked everybody out, so everybody's scared of that. So we got all kinds of things that are going on. So really, it's a perfect time to make this transition. And being a pastor of a church, I watch people. And in our church, when this coronavirus hit, we lost about 100 people, started staying at home
Mm.
and watching online. And those people never came back, a lot of them. And the simple reason they didn't come back was because they got comfortable doing everything online. Well, I believe that's where much of our society is. We're getting so comfortable. I mean, I bought a new truck last week, Arturo. Only thing, I bought the truck online. I had it shipped from San Antonio. And I know people have been doing this for a while, but all this stuff's new to me. So I just jumped on it, and I said, man, everybody's doing everything online now. And I said, I believe insurance is headed that way. So I just jumped on it, started dropping some money into it, and said, let's get it. I want to be ahead of the curve.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, and so I appreciate that because it's one of those things where you kind of see where it's going, and you're like, okay,
Yeah,
where my business is now, and if I want to grow and I want to be around 5 years from now, I don't want 5 years from now trying to learn this when it's too late
exactly.
and the train's already left the station.
Yeah, it's headed that way. Jump on it. I mean, I wrote for my first month. This is my second month, Arturo, of writing business. Doing it on these type of ads. My first month of writing business by phone calls. I never sold nothing over the phone, but my first month, I wrote just over about 42 or $44,000 in AP over the phone.
Gotcha. Yeah. And so if you're already good at it, over the phone just makes it easier for them to say yes to the appointment, for them to book, and gives you more opportunities to write more AP. So yeah, so
Yeah.
let's kind of transition to this because I really like to get down to the real stuff, right? So you
Yes.
say you're investing in your business, which means that you've tried some things before that didn't work, right?
Yes.
So and this is what sometimes limits agents is it didn't work one time and then they give up on thinking that the online stuff works or this or that. So what was your philosophy with a couple of things that you tried, which we can talk about that, but more
Mhm.
importantly, why you didn't give up, right? Where you was like, okay, I need to try this. So what was it that kind of compelled you, even if something didn't work before, to try something else like this?
Because I knew, number one, I believe in myself. I believe in the ability that I have, in order
Mm,
to talk to people. That's number one. If you don't believe in yourself, it's gonna make it real hard to see the reason to continue trying to do this. You got to have a certain, I don't say arrogance, but confidence within yourself. Uh, you know, to do this. So that's number one. You got to believe in yourself. Number two, you got to believe in the system. You've got to believe in the system. That's like working with you right here. I mean, I've seen some results. I believe in the system. So what am I going to do? Um, we've got to be willing. I tell people this all the time. I'm not good on the technical side, Arturo. I mean, I don't know nothing about it. But here's what I do know. I'm smart enough to know what I don't know. So what I don't know how to do, I hire people that know how to do that. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
And because here's what I know. You're good on getting me the leads. I'm good on closing the leads. So let's identify what we are good at. Let's identify what we're not good at. Let me sink my time into what I'm good at and bring people around me that are good at what I'm not good at. And we cannot not succeed. You know what I mean? So that's number one. Believe in yourself. Number two, work the system. Let the system be your boss. That's it. Let the system, I mean, I'm dedicated to, when I say let the system be your boss, we have got to, if I'm coming in here and if I'm saying, Arturo, okay, here's what I'm wanting to do. Okay. Here's what I want to do. Here's the amount of leads I want to get every day. Here's the amount of appointments I want to get every day. Here's the people that I'm going after every day. Be willing to ride the system, let the system work, let the system prove itself. If we keep enough activity going, if I keep working enough leads, I am going to succeed. Activity breeds prosperity. I believe that with all my heart. So if I'm willing to work, and if I'm willing to stay in front of it and stay active, and if I'm willing to sit down and make 20 phone calls a day, I don't care if it's the same leads that I called the previous 3 days. I mean, I've got my folders right here. So if I got no shows, I still got the old system here, Arturo, where I do
Yeah.
everything by files. If you look around my desk, I got files, and in my files, these ones are the appointments, and then right under that, I got the no shows that I stack all those in. Then right under that, I've got the ones that say call back. So I'm always working through. I'll probably make, so in between appointments, if I got an appointment and an appointment no shows me, I'm not just sitting there for 30 minutes or an hour waiting on another appointment to come in. I'm calling all the other ones that have no showed me, all the other ones that didn't show up, all the other ones that said call me back, and I'm picking up a ton of business off of those right there. So we're staying after it. We're staying active. We're moving forward. Activity. When I'm in this office during the day working, I'm not just sitting here waiting on people to see my Facebook ad and just waiting on people to book an appointment with me. I'm going back working every lead, every appointment, every single one of them. Then after I call them 3 times, Arturo, and I triple dial everybody. If I call them and they don't answer, I call them right back. If they don't answer, I call them right back. And then they may get 15 phone calls a day from me. I'll call them 15 times in a day. So if I call them then, and then a little bit later I have another no show, I'm grabbing those ones and I'm working through them again, triple dialing them again from different phone numbers and everything. So I work my leads, I work my appointments, and then after 2 days, if I hadn't got in contact with them 2 days, I turn them back over to David, and then David tries to get a hold of them from then on, and then he tries to work them back into the schedule.
Relentless pursuit.
Yes.
Relentless pursuit. And so
You
just
people got to get past this stuff being scared they're gonna make somebody mad if they call them too many times. I have
yeah.
never had anybody reach through the phone and slap me yet. So,
And here's the thing though. You got to go back to this because there's some more gold in here. And again, you're not hearing this from just anybody, right? You're hearing this from a Hall of Fame producer on what it takes to get to your goals, right? To keep the promises to yourself. And so number one, which is more important than anything, is believing in your ability to figure it out. And without a
that's right.
doubt, whether it's this, whether it's emails, text messages, or whatever, Kevin knows all he needs is names and numbers, and he's gonna get after it.
That's
Right? He's gonna make it happen.
it.
Right? And then the second thing is even with this system, that's just 50% of it. You still got
Yeah.
some work to do.
That's it, man. I think sometimes we put it into a system and think the system's going to do it all for us, and I still got to work the system. I like to go work out. I go work out every morning. I can get stronger, but if I'm not willing to go to the gym and put myself under the resistance, I'm not going to get any stronger. And
Gotcha.
that's the same way it is in this life. We got to be willing to put the time in. We got to be willing to put the work in. We got to be willing to do it. It doesn't just happen. We got to work at it, and we got to stay after it, stay after it, stay after it. Because that's kind of the way I look at it. If I get a lead that comes in, Arturo, and they tell me they're not interested, they don't want to talk to me anymore. I'll put it up and I'll call them back in 2 weeks. That's a new lead again to me.
Yeah. And the thing
Hey,
about it
in
is,
two
there's
weeks
no
they go.
excuses, right? You're not accepting
Yeah.
excuses for the people who filled out a form
Mm-hmm.
that wanted something and then got scared and changed their mind. And you're also not using excuses. Well, oh, this was a bad lead or this or that. You don't have any excuses. None of them. It's like it's up to you to get them across the line.
That's it. I mean, there's no such thing. I tell people this all the time. My agents this. There's no such thing as a bad lead. When I was going into people's houses, I said if somebody answered the door and let me inside their house and allowed me to sit down and then told me they wasn't interested, that's not a bad lead. Why is that not a bad lead? Because they just let me inside their house. That's not a bad lead. If somebody goes on our system here, Arturo, that you're working with me on, and they go through and read my 3 or 4 paragraph uh, story out there, and then they take time to book an appointment, They take time to schedule it. They take time to know that is not a bad lead. Now, the people may tell me a whole bunch of stuff in order to throw me off, in order to try to, because they don't want to talk on the phone, but that is not a bad lead. You don't go through and schedule an appointment, put your name, put your email address, put the numbers that you can text to, put your age in there. You don't do that stuff and not know what you're filling out. And we as agents, we've got to get past that accepting excuses. Our job is to overcome. We got to get past that accepting their excuses because they may not be in a mood to talk right then, or throwing it away because they don't want to talk right now. I take my leads, man, and I continue working through them. I've had people to cuss me out on the phone, then hang up and call me back to finish cussing me out because they didn't think they did a good enough job the first time. And it's not because I'm mean, but it's because I will call them and I'll say, hey, this is Kevin Alexander, just getting back to you. And we got to learn to overcome objections. They're going to throw excuses at us, but an excuse is nothing more than an opportunity to set an appointment.
Gotcha. Perfect. So let's kind of transition into how we connected, because I know you tried some things in the past. How did you come across Arturo Johnson Consulting?
Well, man, I stalked you probably for I don't know 6, 7, 8 months, maybe a little bit longer. And I think if I remember right, I think you even set a couple of appointments and talked to a couple of your consultants before we actually went with it. But I'm always searching. I'm always looking, and something on yours just really, really caught my eye. It was just I think on yours, man, it was just the laid back approach on what you had. When I see your videos and stuff, the laid back approach that you had, I think it was just kind of seemed pretty sincere, And plus, I don't know what it was, man, but every time I'd open my Facebook, you'd pop up. I mean, every time I'd open my Facebook, man, I mean, I'd be watching some UFC fights and Arturo pop up. I'd be scrolling through and Arturo pop up. I'd be looking at something, Arturo pop up. And I'm like, all right, man, Lord, you must be telling me to give this guy a call. So I did.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And so what's that experience about? Because we only been working together. It hadn't even been 30 days yet, but
Mm-hmm.
just in the short period of time, what's been your estimation of working with our team, kind of my expertise, and then some of the processes and results that you've gotten in just a short period of time?
What I really appreciate about working with you, Arturo, is the one-on-one time. That helps us a ton. I've worked with some other groups before, and they did a good job. Not speaking anything against them, but it would be more of a time where you might have 20, 30 people on the call, and trying to get something done. What we've really appreciated out of you is that once or twice a week you set that time aside and you get with me and David, mainly David, the guy that works for me. You get with him and you're willing to spend that time, and true coaching goes on. True time is spent. True coaching goes on-one time, and you are, by the questions you ask and the conversations that I've had with you. I believe you're really, really sincere and wanting to help people out. It's like the last conversation we had, man. You said, "Hey, I love doing this stuff. I love building this stuff and seeing things happen." And that is the biggest blessing to me, is that one-on-one time.
Gotcha. And so you posted in the group a couple of days ago that you had a pretty good last 2 days. So tell me just a little quick snippet about that. So you say you wrote about how much in the last couple of days?
I think it was about 15,190 on Monday and Tuesday in
Okay.
AP.
Awesome. Awesome. And
So that
so
made me, yeah,
go ahead.
that probably made me, and that'd make me, $16,000 paycheck or better.
Gotcha. And so, we live in a world where most people are skeptical and they say things are too good to be true, right? So, what would you
Yeah.
say to somebody that was skeptical like you, tried some things and they failed, but then finally, you after 6 months, which is a long time being in that pain, you finally pulled the trigger. What would you say to somebody after your experience of working with us just in a very short period of time?
And I'll say this, and even with the other programs that I had, I've seen some success, but I also, to go to the level that I wanted to go to, I had to be, because I think sometimes, Arturo, we get comfortable in the little bit of success we have and not ever willing to step into something else in order to get the major success that we want to have. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So I was seeing some success there, but what I wanted to do, Arturo, was more. And so when I would talk to the people and try to share my vision with them on what I wanted to do, I didn't feel like they was grabbing a hold of that with me. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't nothing against them. I just didn't feel like they was grabbing a hold of that vision of where I want to go with me. So I really didn't see them as the people that could work with me to get me there. You know what I'm saying? So when I talked to you the first time, man, you grabbed a hold of that. Kayla, the girl that works for you, man, she was really, really good. She at grabbing a hold of that vision and saying, yes, we can get you there. Yes, Arturo can get you there. And then when I talked to you one-on-one, you made me feel comfortable in that area that you could help me get to where I want to be. So that was number one. I hadn't felt that with anybody before. So that was huge to me, number one. Number two, if people are, if you're in an area and you're seeing some form of success, I got goals. I've got goals laid out. I want to be $1 million a month agency. I want to be doing $12 million a year in annual in AP per year. So when I get somewhere, and if I'm looking at something, I got to be, I'm looking for people that can help me get there. And that's what I was saying a while ago. I believe that's what I felt most comfortable with you. I believe that you can help me get there. I believe that you working behind the scenes and working the system, doing what I don't know how to do, man. I was just like, hey, this guy's taking it, he's building it, and he's doing it. The other people want me to buy the program and me do it, and that's great for some people. But once again, I know my weaknesses. That's not me. That is not me. So Arturo, I got to build the program and I got to do it and I got to manage it and I got to do all that stuff. That's great for some people, but I know for me, that's not going to be for me. So I'd rather pay a little bit more money and have somebody to do that because I know I'm going to make that back in the time, because that's more time I'm going to be able to spend selling. That makes
Gotcha.
sense.
Yeah.
So I seen some tremendous success. I seen in those 2 days. We seen success last week also, but the biggest success that we seen was last week and or this early this week, and in Monday and Tuesday I wrote over $15,000 in AP.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thanks for sharing all that. I know that there's a bunch of nuggets in there, and a lot of trainings for not only myself but for agents everywhere. And so, in ending this video and kind of wrapping up, if there's agents that may come across this and see you and resonate with some things, and maybe want to reach out to you that aren't in an organization and maybe want to join your team, what's a good way for them to kind of contact you, maybe through an email or something like that, if they're just interested to have a conversation with you?
They can either they can message me. As a matter of fact, there's a gentleman that's a part of your program. He had messaged me this morning, and I sent him my phone number a while ago. But if you want to get a hold of me, you want to communicate, if I can help you out in any way, my name is Kevin Alexander, and you can just email me at kevinalexanderffl@gmail.com.
Awesome. Well, hey, Kevin, definitely been a pleasure. I definitely learned a lot about how to take it to a next level. And I appreciate your consistency and intensity on not letting any excuses get in the way and you getting to your goals. And there's no doubt in my mind with our partnership, with the things that you bring to the table, and then me just getting you in front of the right folks that you'll be at that million a month in no time. Okay. So thank you for
Yeah.
hopping on, and you take care.
Hey, man, sorry about the cutouts, man. Hey, Lord bless you, Arturo. Appreciate all you do, bud.
Thank you, sir. Bye bye.
Mm-hmm.